Okay, so the deal was we have to watch an MCU movie, but for every movie we watch in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I have to watch one of your movies. And you picked 23 different movies, which there's not many franchises out there that have 23 movies, so we just kind of... You picked random movies. But the first 5, you picked a franchise that we're going to start out with. You say it.
It was not that bad. I picked Twilight. It was a good pick.
Twilight also came out in 2008.
Hell yeah. That's what I was trying to do.
That's when the greatest franchises ever started.
Yeah.
Marvel and Twilight. Okay, I had seen Twilight before, and I don't actually see why everybody hates it so much. I think it's a little overblown. I think a lot of people just did it because it's a romance teen supernatural novel, and that's why people went after it, because once you throw in the teen and the romance part, a lot of teenage boys especially, and a lot of grown men too, though, were just like hating on it. And they're like, oh, that's stupid, that's ridiculous. Girly thing, I hate. I certainly didn't think they were awful as everybody was saying, but...
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, you said that?
Well, I mean, I just can't even remember exactly what my responses to it always was, because I was never very good at hating on a popular thing, because I just... My whole stance always...
Did you watch it that year?
I think so.
Not in theaters.
No. I know that my sister owned it, and I'm pretty sure that's how I saw it. Either because she was watching it and I watched with her, or I saw parts of it and then I was curious enough to watch the whole thing later. It was some variation of that. But I had definitely seen the first one, I think even more than once. Like, I've seen this movie. And it's not awful. It's not bad. I don't know if I could say it's
not bad, it's not good.
I'm not trying to offend you. I just don't know. I don't know what I think of it, because there are things about it I like. There is, but there's other things.
List what you like.
I really like how it's shot and how it looks, which I think is the thing a lot of people criticize about the whole franchise. It's fun to make fun of, I guess, because there is a very distinct look to it, but I actually like how it looks, because I buy it. I buy that it's supposed to be like this in this area with these kinds of characters, and I think this director just has a better eye for the film rather than some of the other directors that came out later. And the other movies really got saturated with the colors by the end, and I think people forget that. I think people really like to bring up the, especially like that scene in the high school where he's looking at her, he's like, ugh, I see her, I love, and it's like really like pale colors.
Not what
and
he felt.
I know, but that's, people mock it though, and I see a lot of parodies where they would just copy the way the movie looked, where it really drowns out all the color. But I think people forget that the later ones weren't like that.
Excuse me, Harry Potter does that a lot too, and nobody criticized that.
And that's a good point. And that's another one where it did kind of the same thing, except backwards, where it started out with really saturated colors and slowly took the color out, as if it's like his childhood died. That's what people are going to say, too. It's like, this is about the death of childhood, and it's being sucked out of him slowly as he progresses in age. And I'm like, or it's because it's different directors over time, and they kind of changed who the demographic of the film was, even though the demographic never really changed, but... that would be a fun one to talk about.
I love them.
Yeah, they were good. But Twilight, which is kind of somewhat the Harry Potter response in a way, it definitely came about because Harry Potter was popular. I feel like there's more than one connection to be made there. But the original writer of the book, I think, was trying to make more of a typical teenage love story, especially with the first book. I've heard about some of the stuff in the later books, and especially like the final book, how it tried to throw in some really adult themes, which people are pretty critical of. But the first one, I think, is meant to be just a straight up love story. So they made this movie, and everybody hated on it. It's not bad.
not bad. It's good.
You saw it in 2008. Or no, when you were older.
Ew, how old would I have been?
2008? You would have been
8.
10?
Oh, 10.
Do you remember what year you were born?
No.
I guess you would have been 10 at that time, yeah.
Okay. My mom would have let me watch that.
Mm-mm.
No.
I guess not.
Ew, why did I say ew? When did I see that? I was way late in the game.
It's weird to me that you only saw the first one so many years later.
8th grade, probably.
Maybe, but that'd be like 5 years later.
Yeah.
Dang. Well.
Yep.
What'd you think of it? Like, you...
I loved them so much.
Do you still love them just as much?
Yes. I'm going to watch that 2-hour documentary. All of them.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. You know what? This set I have is like, it's called the Twilight Forever Blu-ray set. It actually has some pretty neat special features. Like, not that I'd want to watch 2-hour documentaries about this.
I would gladly do that.
She definitely would. But
I will.
I honestly wish like every company would get this kind of special features treatment. You know who doesn't have those kinds of special features? Marvel.
I love
they don't.
those kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, especially the one for Breaking Down Part 2 had like a documentary that's like a picture-in-picture thing. So you can watch the movie while there's like the commentary / documentary playing. I'm like, that's so cool. Why can't every movie have that? And Twilight gets it, so they figured it out. There's even like a bonus disc just for the package that's on that set, which
How
probably
many
has...
hours do you think that's going to take
I
you?
don't even know. There's probably so many. Point being, I just don't have much to say about it because this is the only one that has a villain in it, kind of. I mean, the third one sort of does, but my whole thing with this entire franchise, which I mentioned more than once, was the people who are not in this movie, the Volturi, which only show up in the next movie. So I won't.
Just gotta talk about the first movie.
So I won't go off on it. But my point is this is the only one with a villain. And he's just kind of this punk rock like kind of villain, and he's just like a stand-in for, I don't know, something to happen to Bella, like because something needs to happen to her. So I guess this is what will happen to her, and that's like fine. But the only part of the movies of this movie I really like is how it's shot.
Their soundtracks are so good.
They do. I like their songs.
So good.
And it's very of the time, but in a good way. Like, watching it nowadays is, like, appreciative because they don't really technically make that kind of music anymore in the same way, I guess. It was more popular then. And this definitely was, like, on the verge of, what was it, like, emo trends becoming a thing at like Hot Topic. It was all kind of converging around the same time. So then, Twilight came out and invoked a lot of that imagery and a lot of that music. So I appreciate it for that because it's like a time capsule in a way. Yeah. And it's also the only movie that's shot with the angles and the editing the way it is. The other ones aren't done the same way. They kind of had much more of a copy and paste press machine to it where it was like, pump out another movie, here's another one. But this one, it really seemed like they were trying to do something with it. And it didn't seem like they were just trying to create a franchise out of it, which, and that happens with Marvel too. I mean, if you want to compare, like, both of those eventually became way more copy and paste, put into the press and push things out, kind of.
What is this action?
I don't know. I'm trying to do like a printing press with the newspapers. I don't know.
Wouldn't it be like this? You're doing it backwards.
Do it how you want to do it. Did you ever work in the printing industry?
Yeah, I did. Did you? What do you think about the story?
The story, like I said, it's fine.
Pretty basic.
Yeah, there's just not a lot to it. She moves to this town and she kind of starts getting into the vampire, what would you call it, mythology, I guess, where she kind of learns how they work and what they do and why they're in hiding and just kind of the different things about their history. The weird thing about it is that it kind of just stops abruptly. I don't know if you feel that way, but it's because once we get to the villain, especially like the baseball scene, the rest of the movie's just that. And we kind of forget about everything else that was going on. Not that there was anything going on, but we were talking about the talking about how the vampires work.
Like, it seems like two different stories, or what?
Not two different stories, but just that this movie didn't really have much of a story. It was just Bella meeting the vampire, and then finding out he is a vampire, and then meeting the family, and learning about the family, and learning about this stuff. And I find that stuff really interesting, like seeing that wall of all those graduation caps, kind of learning about how they move around, and how that other guy lived for many years and was the one who, you know, changed Edward over and several people over because he was a doctor. He would be like, hey, I can save you. Want me to do that? And
he didn't ask me, but...
a lot of that stuff was like really interesting, and I don't know if I'd want more of it, but my issue is that you get to the other movies and you do learn more of what's appropriate for those movies. But that's what I mean. I kind of wish we would have gotten more. I mean that it just stops abruptly for us to have a villain suddenly, and it's a villain that isn't really present in the rest of the movie. To a point, like, he's in the background, and you see, like, you know, scenes interspliced of him just walking around with the other vampires and be like, I can smell Bella. And that's pretty much it. And then suddenly it's like, the chase, and like, we have to hide you. And I'm like, we were just playing baseball. Like, so I don't know.
What about Bella and Edward? What do you think about them?
Very basic relationship.
The best.
I don't even know if they really get better over time. I don't have issues with them. I think they're very chill, and that's about it. It's just not...
They are very in love, and it's a very good story.
It's like the least dramatic love story you'd ever see, which might be good for some people.
How is it not dramatic?
I don't know. It's not like...
Or all of them?
All of them, for the most part, because there's not like a lot of...
They're vampires. How is that not dramatic?
Yeah, but all the drama doesn't revolve around their relationship. It revolves way more around just... the series of events are going on around them. Besides the second one, but a lot of that is pretty forced. I'm running away. Why?
You know why.
We'll get to that. So they're fine. I mean, I don't really have complaints one way or the other, but they're not very memorable.
Who's your favorite character?
Carlisle. and her dad.
Name.
I like her dad too.
What's her dad's name? You can't like him if you don't know his name.
Oh my god, what was his name?
I don't know.
I can see it, but is his name like Frank?
It's Billy or Harry.
No, stop. Oh my god, because her name is Bella Swan, so his name is Swan. Officer Swan.
He's a chief, actually. Close.
Chief Officer Swan.
Yeah, Chief Swan. No, it's Charlie.
Okay. I see, now I know.
Now you know, because I told you.
I like the actor, that's about it.
He is good.
Yeah, he's cool. The rest of them are... He's the one that I think is doing the best job acting-wise. There's not, like, a lot to this one. I feel like the stuff that people really like to make fun of and bring up is, like, in the other ones, and...
2 and 3.
Yeah, especially 2. 2 has, like, the most bad stuff. I feel like 2 is the one people were mocking the most. That definitely was, like, the bigger movie, too, because, like, first movie had come out and everyone was, like, renting it to a point, or enough people had seen it in theaters that they were doing the second one, but the second one, you know, had, like, hot Taylor Lautner, so it went, like, way crazier after that. So I feel like there's a bit more to talk about with that one, just because... To me, it's just a little more embarrassing, the whole thing.
Yeah. Because
it was, like, way more popular, but it's, like, not good. And I feel like even fans don't really like it.
No, we don't.
Yeah. There you go.
I speak for everyone.
There you go.
1 out of 10.
This movie? 5?
Dude, that was lower since the last time we watched. Yes, it was.
I don't know. What did
you gave it a 6 last time.
Oh, well, I'll give it a 6 then, because I think I might have done that on Letterboxd. I think on Letterboxd I did 3 out of 5 stars. So with Stella's scale... Sorry, I was mixing it. Stella's scale has to be out of 10, so 6 out of 10 then. It's not bad.
Because I feel like there's more leeway in 10. You have more numbers. 1 through 5 seems like...
1 through 5 breaks it down, and you use
it
halves.
It's harder. It's harder. 1 through 10.
Simple fractions. No. What do you give it out of 10?
10. Just kidding. 7.
get all up in arms about my 5, but you only went 2 more higher. And I changed it to 6.
Yeah.
Well, that's Twilight, folks. We'll move on with that series. And then her other...
Okay, 7.5.
Stop changing it.
You changed yours. 7.5.
But that was Twilight, and we will see you next time when we do our next 2 movies, which should be The Incredible Hulk and...
New Moon.
Yeah. See you next time. Thanks to all my Patreon supporters. For only $7, you can get your own monthly movie review. Ask me to review anything I haven't already. There's also other perks like blogs, exclusive videos, and early access. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thanks so much for watching this video.